Welcome to the Candle Business Coach Podcast, a show about the craft of candle making and small business. I'm your host, Kirsty Allen, and I'm a candle maker, mum of three, and kindness advocator. Join me as I dive into all things candles and small business and deliver advice and tips to you in episodes every Tuesday and Friday. Are you on the list to get my daily motivation emails? Every day I'll send you a message that is designed to help keep you focused on taking action toward your goals. Sign up using the link in the show notes. This episode is brought to you by my free ebook, the Candle Business Marketing Kickstarter Kit. Inside this free ebook, you'll find your blocks of time and learn actionable tips so you can grow your business faster and earn more income to lead you to your goals. Check out the link in the show notes for your copy. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. Today on the show, we have the beautiful Bianca from Sense of Heaven. Bianca, do you want to introduce yourself to the listeners?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Bianca. I'm the founder of Sense of Heaven. We are based in the northern suburbs of Melbourne, but we do ship nationally. So anywhere in Australia, you can get our items shipped to you. We do retail and wholesale, so both options available. But outside of the business, I am a wife and a mum, and I work full-time as well.
And as any mums that are listening to the show will know, we're the queens of multitasking when it comes to getting our families to function properly. Tell us a little bit more about Sense of Heaven, the origin and the meaning behind your name.
This one, I feel like it's a bit complicated to explain, but when I say it's probably not going to be. But when I was trying to come up with my business name, I thought, what's the ultimate goal? Not so much the ultimate goal, but, you're told your whole life, you want to go to heaven. You're going to be a good boy or a good girl so you can end up in heaven. It's like, well, what even is heaven? Like, what does it smell like? What does it look like? What does it feel like? So I wanted to give my customers a sense of heaven. And then obviously I played on the word sense, and the spelling had to be correct because obviously we've got fragrances involved. So Sense of Heaven felt like it fit.
I love that. It's such a beautiful story behind the name. And I love that it's connecting into something from your past and something that you believe in as well. So what was the process like when you first started your candle business, and how long ago was that?
So it'd be about 2.5 years ago. We were smack bam in the middle of a pandemic. My full-time job was very slow. There was not much to do. Everything was clean in the house. So I was like, I need something to do. I'm a person that just thrives on, as silly as it is, being run off their feet. And I thought, I'm just going to start what I've always wanted to start. And that was the candle business. So jumped online, did a lot of researching, watching videos, as much learning as I possibly could. And then, registered the business name, already had the ABN. And then, I just started trying to find where I was going to source everything from. And lucky enough, there's quite a few local suppliers down here in Melbourne. I do get a few bits and pieces from interstate, but that's how we started.
Did you actually go into any of the suppliers in person to learn about the process, or was it mainly researching online?
Well, we weren't really able to. Everything was shut down at that time. So it was all online. It was all just reading. And, when you're looking up your jars, you're trying to find what the ideal wick size is. And when you're looking at the waxes, you're trying to figure out what's going to work best. It's a lot of trial and error. So because there wasn't that face-to-face conversation that you could have, it was just a lot of learning online.
And a lot of, I assume, making mistakes along the way and working through those challenges as they came up.
Definitely. And there are many when it comes to making. So
yeah, that's right. Because as we know, it's not as simple as just finding one wick and one type of wax and putting them together. There's a lot of testing involved, and that can take weeks and months, depending on how many products are in your range and what you're wanting to actually produce.
Definitely. You're buying a lot. There's a lot of money to outlay, which they don't really tell you that. So yeah.
And it's true that not only is it the cost of buying the supplies, but also when you're doing the testing, you're using those supplies, and they're supplies that can't be sold because you're having to test them yourself. So there's a lot of money that can be lost in the testing process, but it's an essential part of making candles. You can't sell a candle that you haven't tested.
That's right. So the testing process can take so long. And then, again, like what you said, if you find that doesn't work for you, well, you've got to push that to the side. Tends to just sit there. Currently, a lot of unused supplies are in headquarters right now, which is where we're sitting, but that's just part of the process.
When you think about actually the logistics of running your business, how do you complete everything that needs to be done, especially because you're working full time and you're a mum as well?
Yeah, look, it's not easy. I am not going to lie. For me, it's just as the orders come in. So one week I might have, X amount of orders to fulfill. It's getting up early, squeezing in a couple of candles, and then waking everyone up, getting everyone ready, getting on with the day, going to work, coming home, and then I might get the dinner ready, cook, clean, get the rest made or a few more made. Then bedtime, then I'm still in the kitchen generally making the candles. So it's just chipping away at it as best as you can, trying to juggle it all.
Yeah, that's right. And depending on, as you say, how many orders you have coming through, that can basically dictate how your day or how your week runs, depending on how many products you need to make if you don't already have them in stock.
Yeah, and for us, everything's pretty much made to order, especially we do a lot of like mold candles, so body candles and things like that. So I tend to just leave them for made to order. And then, they need to sit for 3-4 hours to set. So that's time. They got to sit there out on the bench in everybody's way generally.
And do you find that making to order is a more efficient way of operating?
For me at the moment, yes, because I did go down the path of trying to make, a bit of everything and have it on hand. But then I found the orders I was getting, I was having to make anyway because it wasn't what I had on hand. So I thought, well, I may as well just go down the path of making them to order. It just seemed a bit easier rather than having them sit there, collect dust, and then become seconds.
Especially if you're offering a lot of different fragrance options, you're not necessarily going to predict what type of candle with what fragrance the customer is actually ordering. So if you make them to order, you're saving money and you're saving time overall.
Correct, yeah.
So tell us about the biggest win that you've had in your business so far.
Oh, probably the biggest win would be most recent, actually. I just finished a wholesale order for one of our customers. It's her order yet. So there was about 45 body candles. She only orders body candles from us, and she stocks them she's a brow artist, so she's got a salon in Queensland. So yeah, there was about 40 or so candles that she ordered. So that was the biggest win. And then, like I said before, they take about 3 to 4 hours to set. So that one while to make, juggling around a full-time job, but it was really great to just get it done, and they're all boxed and they're ready to go, and they just, I look at them and I think, gosh, they're beautiful.
And I assume you probably don't have 40 molds ready to go. So you would have had to make them in batches to make sure that you were making them all in time. So it takes a lot of pre-planning and thinking about the process and what's involved.
Yes, definitely. We only have at most 2 of each mold. And, when customers are ordering 6 of each, it takes time.
What's been your biggest challenge so far?
Probably the biggest challenge is the time management and juggling things. But I think currently now it's cost of living, I think, is getting in the way of a lot of people being able to enjoy those little luxuries. Like candles are a luxury. People's hands are in their pockets, which I fully understand. My hands are in my pockets too. Everything costs so much. So, I think that's the current challenge.
Yeah, and I believe that, well, I know that it's a struggle for all candle makers because, as you said, the products we're making are in the luxury category. They're not an essential, such as, putting food on the table or paying for our mortgage. They are those little luxuries that people, when they've got that splurge money, are able to spend it. But with the state of the economy as it is, it's just not. Yeah, it's not feasible. And a lot of candle makers are feeling that and are suffering in that way as well. So it's completely relatable. So why do you think someone should start a candle business?
Yeah, I think if you've got a passion to have a creative outlet, candle making is a beautiful thing to be involved in. You can smell a fragrance from a bottle and it can smell fantastic. And then you can make it and it can smell and it goes the same way as well. And I love demolding, like, for example, the body candles and just seeing how they've turned out because they're not always perfect. And we market our products as they're going to come with birthmarks. We call them, they might be on the tummy, there might be a little bump or there might be some lines that have happened through the setting stage. But, no body is perfect. So when they come with their birthmarks and their stretch marks, like that's a beautiful thing. But yeah, it's a really great creative outlet, but you need commitment.
Yes, it's not something that you can start and have success straight away. I mean, there are those exceptions to the rule where people seem to just take off and,
Yes.
and find that success quite quickly. But it's something that does take time because you're fitting in. Well, I mean, it's not necessarily a hobby, but it's something that isn't quite a fully functioning business straight away. It takes time to build up. And if your goal is to have your
Mm,
candle business as a full-time business, it will take time to transition as you build up your customer base and build that brand awareness. What do you
definitely,
wish you
definitely.
knew when you first started making candles?
That it would take over my entire house. My bench space is not a bench. We've got a room. I have a bedroom dedicated to all my supplies. There's always bottles of fragrance and boxes of wax in my kitchen. One side of my stovetop, because I still double boil. It's the stovetop's full of dripped wax. So, but aside from that, I wish I probably knew that there was more support out there. It's only now that well, not now, but probably in the last 6 months that I've really seen that there is, Facebook support groups, and there's other people that are willing to chat to you about any problems that you're having. I only just recently posted because I was having trouble with a wax that I'd always used. And then all of a sudden it was just giving me trouble. And I posted on a Facebook group, and I was weary to do it because I thought, oh my goodness, like, am I exposing myself? Am I putting myself out there just that little bit too much? But the amount of people that came to like my aid was it was really surprising. And now I feel like I would have no problems going on there and saying, hey guys, I'm having this problem. What's everybody else's experience? So I just wish I knew back then that there was more support.
Yeah, and it's sort of a catch-22 because when you go into those candle groups on like Facebook, for example, you want the support and you want to be able to give the support, but everyone has their own agenda and their own likes and dislikes with the different types of supplies. So to put yourself out there and say, look, this is the wax that I'm using, this is the issue that I'm having, you almost open
Yeah.
yourself up to criticism, not intentionally, and people don't. I mean, they're coming from a place of love, but we all have different preferences. So it can be hard to navigate that space sometimes.
When you start your candle business, there are so many things to consider and research along the way, especially when it comes to choosing the right suppliers. Long Story Short provides all your design and printing needs, from your logo and branding to designing and printing your product labels. The quality is exceptional, the customer service is amazing, and prices are very reasonable. They're the only label company I recommend, so check out their website or send them an email today to get started. hello@longstoryshortdesign.com.au.
What are some of the
I agree with
challenges
that.
you faced when you first started your candle journey?
Being open and sharing people around me what I was doing. Had I done that, I probably would have had more support. I kind of kept it a bit of a secret. It was something that I just told my immediate family, my sister-in-law, and my parents. I didn't share it with I was working with, and I think I was just scared. I didn't want it to fail, and then it would be embarrassing.
It's interesting that you say that you kept it, almost like a secret, because I feel like a lot of people can relate to when they start a new venture, whether it's candle making or making soaps or just anything really. It doesn't have to be in the creative realm, but when you start a new business, you have so much passion and so much excitement, and you want to, on one hand, share it with the world, but then, as I said before, you don't want to open yourself up to criticism. So you kind of want to keep it a secret until you've proven the success, and yet you have to share it to find the success. So it's an interesting conundrum.
Yeah, and it's only now, like not now, but probably in the last year, that I shared it with the girls at work. Well, they actually found me on Instagram and they said, do you have a candle business? And I said, yeah, I do. They said, why didn't you tell us? We would have supported you. And now they're some of my biggest supporters. They're always buying wax melts off me and liking my Instagram stories and my reels and sharing them. So I don't know why I was silly. I should have shared it from the start.
True, but I guess that might have been a learning curve for you as well, is just to trust that the path that you're on, people will resonate with that. And I think a lot of the listeners will feel the same in that regard. What is the most important strength someone would need to have to be successful as a candle maker?
I think you need to be patient you need to also have very good time management skills and, yeah, motivation and dedication. Like, really, you have to throw yourself into it. You've really got to put everything into it. And the more you put into it, the more you'll get out. Because if you put yourself out there, whether you're investing money in Facebook ads and Instagram ads to drive those sales and bring those sales into your website, or you're putting yourself out there and literally at markets and things like that, that's the way you're going to get it back.
And it's something that is, I guess, a lesson for life. If there's something that you want to pursue, you give it your all for as long as, as long as it feels right for you. Because if you're only half committed, you're not going to see the results if you were giving it your 100%. What does your weekly routine look like as a small business owner?
There's no real structure to me and my week. Again, it's just based off of basically how many orders I have to process. So that means I need to just get up earlier, staying up later, but I try every Sunday to get my social media out of the way. So, I might sit on Canva for 2 hours, all my posts and my stories, and if I'm doing an ad, pick my ad. If I'm going to have a sale, schedule my sale, and then schedule all my posts for the week so that way they're all set and just go off. And then if there's anything like organically that comes that I want to post about, then I just do that. But my main thing is on a Sunday, I get all my social media out of the way. I find that very important. If you're not present on social media, I find that, if personally for my business, if I'm not present on social media, I feel the traffic just doesn't come to my website.
And the algorithm certainly appreciates when you're more present and more consistent on the platform as well.
Definitely, yes. It's so sensitive, that algorithm, and it's just, frustrating at times.
Yes, very frustrating, and also very hard to predict where the best place for you to post or do your stories and how many hashtags you should use. And, it can be a little bit convoluted and overwhelming.
Yes, definitely.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
My favorite thing is, firstly, I get to be creative. I've always been a creative person. I've always needed an outlet. When I was younger, I used to make jewelry when I was in high school. And then I kind of lost that creative outlet. And then all of a sudden now I've gotten it back. So I love having that. And I also love when I'm packing an order and I just get to see it all come together. And then I get so excited just going to the post office and handing it over and just thinking, God, I just know that the person that receives this order is going to be as excited as I am, because it's just a love. It's a crazy love for candles. I don't know.
And it's true, because whether you make candles or not, we have a passion for them and what they represent, the glow that they emit when you light them after, say, cleaning the house or when you're having a bath. If you love candles, and a lot of us do, then you really love candles.
Yeah, that's right. It's a real thing. It's a real life obsession.
Do you think there are any common myths about running a small business?
That you can escape the 9 to 5 because it's 24/7. Like, even on my lunch break at work, I'll be like, oh, I've got a message in my messenger. I need to get back to a customer, or like I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I've got labels to make, or I've got to make sure that I put this order in for this particular fragrance. Like, you are 24/7. There's no freedom. There's no, like, we just stay at home because I'm always just making candles. We don't go anywhere. So that's probably the biggest misconception.
As you say, when you first start the business, you have the intention of working less hours, having more freedom, having more income. But we forget sometimes that we're doing everything at once until that tipping point where the business is running itself and bringing in a profit to help us cut back on our other commitments. Yes, I would agree that it's definitely a common myth.
Yeah, exactly right.
What's one lesson your journey has taught you that you think everyone should learn at some point in their life?
Just to go for it. Don't doubt yourself. It's so cliche, but don't doubt yourself and give it a go, because you really just don't know what's going to come of it. And don't ever say no. I made a mistake. I had to say, could you, how much are your candles? I would want to put them for my VIP event. And silly me, I should have just turned around and said, you can have the candles. Just take them, put them in the gift bags, because I would have gotten orders back. It turns out my price was too high and they said no. So, don't ever say no to an opportunity, whether it's doing a bonboniere for a wedding, whether it's going to a fete at the school, whatever it is, just don't say no, because what could happen, like the ripple effect from that, you just don't know.
Exactly. And not only do we not want to say no to opportunities, but we also want to be proactive in finding them as well. So say, for example, you haven't done a market stall before and the thought of it scares you, or that you think, no, I don't want to explore that option. Maybe push yourself outside your comfort zone just a little bit, just to see, as you say, where that will lead you, because you might meet your next best friend. You might meet a customer that is connected with other businesses, and then they want to stock your candles as well. As you say, you just don't know where that ripple effect will lead to. And it just means you've got to put yourself out there and put yourself outside your comfort zone. And the more you do that, the bigger your boundaries become and the easier it becomes overall. And you end up becoming an incredible version of yourself that you would never have found if you hadn't first tried.
You never want to look back and say, like, gosh, I wish I said yes. Or like you do say yes and you think, oh my God, I was going to say no to this.
So what gives you motivation to keep going when things get tough or overwhelming?
I usually have my daughter say to me, Mum, why aren't you making candles this week? And it will be because I probably didn't post on socials for the week. So my daughter is like a massive drive for me. She'll be like, even my husband will be like, hey, I got this cool new heat gun from wherever. He's always got random tools in the garage. Like, oh, hey, I'll make you a cutting board for the bottom of your molds. Like, it drive me just to never forget what I wanted to do and why I do it. And, I want to build an empire. My candles will be my empire one day.
And they'll be your legacy for your family as well, which is beautiful that they're wanting to be involved.
That's right.
And help keep you motivated.
Well, I've got my daughter now is now saying, Mum, I want to start a business. So we're going to have another business in the family soon. So, and she's only 7. So I'm like, yes.
Love that. That's so good that she's been inspired by watching you follow your heart and your intuition and your journey. And she wants to do that as well. The power we have as parents and mums specifically, it's exponential, and it's so fascinating to see the impact we can have with our families and with our children. What's your favorite productivity hack?
Yeah, really just getting my socials out of the way all in one hit. I need 2 hours, guys. I'm going to sit at the computer, get all my social media going, and that's the one thing that saves me than having to sit down each and every night and just post. I really believe that helps me.
And how do you define success?
Happiness. Is that cliche? I don't know. It's so true. Like I think that whatever fills your heart and keeps your mind going, do it and you'll feel successful. There's no point killing yourself doing something that you like and then just being like, I hate what I'm doing. And you just try something different. Find out what fills your heart and go from there, because to me is success. If you're doing something you love, that's success.
That's beautiful. So we've come to my favorite part of the show, or the interview, the chat, where I ask 3 questions for all my guests. So number 1, what is your favorite candle fragrance?
Oh, I've been thinking about this all day because there's so many and I've got them all here. And I don't know. At the moment, I really love Brazilian Bum Bum. I don't know if you've smelt that, but that is really nice. I've got that burning I've got it in a melt burner at the front of my door, and it just fills the house. So I'm going to go with that. It'll probably change tomorrow.
No, I love that. We're capturing the moment.
Yes.
So question number 2, what do you love about candles?
Lighting them up, and after you've made them for myself. But when I do, I just sit back and I watch it and I'm like, I made that. Like it's crazy. And I just love watching it burn beautifully. It's amazing when they don't tunnel. So yeah.
Yes, it's very satisfying when you make a candle or even buy a candle and it just burns perfectly.
Yeah.
And question number 3, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a new candle maker at the start of their journey?
Research. Just like any investment you're going to make, you're not just going to go put your money somewhere because your neighbor said it's a good investment. You are going to look into it for yourself and learn what you can before you put your money into it.
And that goes for purchasing supplies, equipment to do with any business. But in this example, it's, definitely doing your research on all things candles so that you can feel knowledgeable and equipped and that you're making the most informed decision moving forward.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today with me, Bianca. I really enjoyed our chat, and I feel that the listeners will get some beautiful gold nuggets throughout this episode. So if anyone's wanting to find where you are online, where's the best place to find you?
Yeah, well, firstly, thank you for having me. It's a great opportunity. But if anybody does want to have a browse of our website or has any questions, you can visit us at www.senseofheaven.com.au and you can shoot us an email. We also have live chat on there. So if anybody's got any questions, they can send us a chat. If we're not online at the time, we get an email. So we'll reply via email.
Perfect. And I'll pop all the links in the show notes so people can click through and find you and see your beautiful candles and products.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone for listening today. I hope this episode added value to your candle making journey. Check out the show notes for all the links mentioned throughout today's show, and please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. Thanks again for listening. Have a beautiful day.